Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm recording this video to help you with the rubric and instruction for career development plan. As you know, this is your second assignment after Indigo assessment, is due on 21st of May, and that's going to be next Sunday, not tomorrow, the Sunday in a week as of tomorrow. So this assignment captures 15% of your total mark. It's an individual assignment. In order to do this assignment, you still need your Indigo assessment report, and you need to use the result to formulate a career development plan and create a unique identity and brand for yourself. So, what you need to basically do is that you need to prepare your own 5 year career development plan. What do you want to do professionally in the next 5 years? If you intend to stay in Canada, or even if you intend to go back to your own country or in any third country. So you need to imagine that what is your vision in the next 5 years, and you need to develop a plan for year one, year two, year three, and year four, and year five on a quarterly basis. So basically, you will show where you want to be in the end of next 5 years, and then you need to plan it backward to show what are the steps you will be taking in order to get there in terms of development, in terms of certificates, skills, capabilities that you need to build, network that you need to grow, incremental steps that you need to take in order to achieve what you want to achieve in the next 5 years. I mean, your achievement could be landing in a position in a company. It can be building a business, a startup, becoming a consultant, whatever it is. You have to decide where you will be in the next 5 years, at the end of next 5 years, and then that would be your destination, and your start of the journey is now, and then you show how you want to move into that point or your destination in the next 5 years on a quarterly basis. So it's important to know that your plan must be presented in timeline format. It cannot be a table, it has to be a timeline format. You can use MS Project and any other softwares. So you can use a software, or you can use a Gantt chart on Excel. But please make sure you do not use Excel sheets. Simple tables will mark you down. So because there is an element of creativity, how creative you are building up that timeline also helps you upgrade yourself in terms of the mark. So you need to be very specific in the timeline. You need to provide dates. You need to show what is it that you need to improve. What is the step that you're showing from when to when. If there is any cost associated with that, you need to specify that cost as well. That if that completing that activity requires any financial investment. So the career plan in all the paper has to follow, consider the following items. And again, similar to DNA Indigo assignment, it has a word limitation between 1600 to 1800 words, so you need to stick to that. From the introduction till conclusion, you should not exceed 1600 to 1800 words, and you should also not write below 1600 words. So in the beginning, in introduction, you start with what are your career objectives, and why is it important for you to have a development plan. So what would be the field, the industry, the job that you want to be in the next 5 years, and then also this can be presented in maximum one paragraph. You need to show which province in Canada you want to work and why. So, in order to support that, you need to provide some job market analysis, that what are the employment options, the field attractiveness, vacancy rates, number of vacancies available now and in the next 5 years, what are the number of job openings in different industries for that role, and even comparison between different provinces depending on where you want to work, and also the potential income and the salary rates for different provinces. In order to capture those information and collect them, you need to provide the statistics in the format of graphs, tables, exhibits, and even pie charts. In order to get those information, you can go to federal and provincial reliable sources. Again, I'm emphasizing you have to go to federal and provincial reliable sources. You cannot go to general websites for those information. Uh, when you provide those information in a statistical format, you do not need to describe them again in written. So if you have given the salary range for a role that you're applying for or you're looking into, you don't need to again to describe it in sentences that the salary is this or that. You can be very very briefly descriptive, but it's not necessary. So make sure that you can manage the word limit. If you intend to work for an organization, what additional step you need to take is that you need to show what are the possible promotional opportunities. So, what is the career growth steps? Where do you enter into the organization? What would be the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step? So, and that needs to be very realistic. So, it has to be something that is achievable within 5 years. You cannot tell me that maybe you, with 2 years of junior accounting background, you want to become a CFO of a large company in 5 years. I'm just giving an example. So you need to specify how long will it take for you to obtain your next promotion within the field, what certificates you will need, and how many years of experience will be required for the promotion. Again, you also need to provide this in maximum 1 page in writing and also including those promotions in your timeline. So anything that you write, there needs to be a connection with those writings into the timeline that you build. So the timeline and your descriptions need to talk to each other, right? And they need to be in sync. Then you move into an inventory of your current skills, abilities, and training and education. So you basically say, based on my assessment, my Indigo, and also my experience, these are the skills and capabilities that I have, and I want to land in a role in 5 years. And that role, that position, that job requires certain skills, capabilities, and competencies. So, what is it that I have? What is it that I still do not have, or I need to further develop? So, if you take the delta and minus your future skills from your current skills, then there is a delta that you need to develop. You need to identify that delta in a simple table, and they say these are my current skills, these are the skills that I need to improve, so these are the areas that I need to focus. Again, whatever you identify that would be the area of focus in terms of skills, abilities, training, and education, that also needs to be reflected in your 5 year timeline. So again, there needs to be a connection between your inventory and the timeline, showing that if you have identified a certain skill, you are also showing in your 5 year timeline that somewhere in that 5 years you are paying attention to it, you are trying to develop that, you have given it a timeline. Even if financial investment is required for that, that would also be captured in your timeline. So uh, use a table to outline your current education as well as all job specific skills, certificates, etc. that you have. Only mention the certificate or grades acceptable in Canada, and in order to do that you need to look at NOC website. So you know that there is a national occupation classification under IRCC website in Canada, and that's the immigration refugee center for Canada. And there, if you go, you can identify different roles and they can fall under different NOC. And for each NOC, you will be able to identify what are the degrees or certificates that are applied or acceptable in Canada. So you need to take note of that as well. So when you develop your timeline, the 5 year timeline, out of that 5 year timeline, you need to look a little bit, step back and look at it holistically and from a perspective, and say what are the 3 action steps that are very very crucial for you to achieve your stated career development plan. What are the 3 things that if you don't achieve them like milestones, your plan will fail, your plan will not move forward. So you identify those 3 items and you put a heading of action steps and then describe why these are the 3 key critical elements that you have to achieve as milestones, without which your plan will fail. And then the last part that you need to put in your paper is identify potential barriers. So you can identify one, two, or three, depending on how many you see. What are the barriers that might impede you, might stop you from getting to your career aspiration in next 5 years? You can identify two or three maximum, perhaps, and say these are the things that they can be a hindrance, they can be like a barrier, an obstacle to my plan. You see that there is a link here. It's just a sample of Gantt project, and I don't know, and I'm not sure if this link still works. It's just to give you some idea how you might be able to develop a timeline. Again, you can use MS Project, you can use Gantt chart on Excel, and you can use some application or softwares that they can develop a timeline format for you, putting your tasks, putting your times, putting your cost analysis, and then make sure that you develop a year by year plan on a quarterly by quarterly basis. Remember that APA convention, writing convention, is absolutely important. You have to provide references, at least 6 references again required for this assignment. Make sure you will not get a paper from another student. Please do not use AI. Any case that will have an AI generated um, identification through Turnitin will be reported and will be marked zero. So that is absolutely important that you can take note of that. As I said again, this career development plan will be graded 15%, and this is the rubric that you can follow in terms of knowing how your paper will be marked. You have 20% around describing your experience, 20% around the topic reflection, 20% around connecting the academic concepts, how much you are building your timeline, but you are also connecting the concept you're developing for your career development plan to the theories and academic discussions that we have had so far, and you have also studied in your course book. Goal setting and planning, how well, how innovative, creative you have, and how detailed you have developed that 5 year timeline. And then 10% for APA, 10% for grammar, punctuation, and spelling, as well as 10% for readability and style. Uh, um, Talking about experience, looking at your DNA Indigo assessment, assignment papers, I'm telling you that you perhaps need to be more careful with coherence and cohesion in writing, which seems to be an area of improvement for majority of us. So this is a sample. I'm going to go very quickly. An introduction has been given by a student and the career objectives and desired job position, then some statistics from different locations, very properly cited, and also hourly wage for the role of the position of architect, which is something that this person is pursuing, and also giving some additional information. Again, all of them have been properly cited. You can see that throughout the paper there is a correct in-text citation. What are the promotional career growth and certificates? So you see that what would be the incremental steps in terms of the career. Then the skills inventory for this student, and a knock identified for that. And then you will see if there are here some let's say certificates or trainings or skills that are required, then they are also being reflected in the 5 year timeline. This is a very detailed timeline that this student has done in the format of academic knowledge and professional knowledge with great detail on a quarterly basis. Even cost estimates have been included, which makes it very interesting and also very detailed. It's also creative in terms of how well detailed and visually, interesting it has been created. The 3 major action steps for the career plan that this student has identified, and also the barriers that this person has identified ahead of himself. Conclusion, then going to the references in accordance to the APA style. So as you see, there are 6 at least references that have been given. I just hope that this will help you in order to build your career development plan assignment.